Let me ask you a simple question. And be honest. When you picture the ultimate predator, what comes to mind? You think big. You think massive. You think the rule is written in stone. The larger you are, the more dangerous you are. Megalodon, 60 feet long, 50 tons of pure muscle, teeth the size of your palm. The greatest shark that ever lived. Spinosaurus, longer than a school bus, jaws that look like they could snap steel. Giganotosaurus, longer than T-Rex, so it must be stronger, right? This is the story every movie, every documentary, every children's book has sold you for decades. Bigger equals better. Bigger equals unbeatable. Bigger equals the perfect hunter. But today, we are going to blow that rule apart completely. Because in the real history of life on Earth, size is never a free advantage. It always comes with a heavy price. Every extra ton of flesh means more energy you have to burn and replace. Every extra foot of length means slower reaction times and wider turns. Every oversized jaw means less control and more risk of breaking it. And here is the secret almost no one tells you. Some of the largest, most terrifying-looking predators that ever existed were actually terrible hunters. They were slow, they were clumsy, they had weak bites. Many were scavengers or so specialized they could only eat one exact type of prey. And if that food source disappeared, they died too. Today we will take 5 of the most famous giant predators in history. We will look at their actual fossil records, their biomechanics, their real strengths and their hidden weaknesses. We will expose the hard truth. When it comes to being a successful killer, raw size doesn't matter. It's all about design. And by the end of this video, you will never look at a giant predator the same way again. Before we start, let's be clear. This is not fan fiction. This is not opinion. Every fact, every measurement, every limitation you will hear today comes from peer-reviewed studies, fossil analysis and biomechanical tests published between 2020 and 2025. We are not here to say these animals were weak. We are here to say they were built for one very specific job. And if you judge them by the wrong standard, they look like failures. So let's begin with the king of all overhyped giants. The one everyone thinks could kill anything that moved. First up, Megalodon. Otodus megalodon. 60 feet long, 50 to 60 tons in weight. Teeth up to 7 inches long. Bite force estimated at 40,000 pounds per square inch. Enough to crush the skull of a large whale like an eggshell. Movies show it as a hyper-agile monster that chases speedboats, leaps out of the water and eats anything that moves. But the fossil record tells a very different story. The truth? Megalodon was so big, it was actually too large to be a good hunter. Let's break it down. A modern great white shark is 15 to 20 feet long. It can accelerate quickly, turn sharply and chase fast-moving prey for short distances. Megalodon was 3 times longer and 20 times heavier. Studies from the University of Zurich and Princeton University confirm its maximum sustained speed was only 11 to 14 miles per hour. Slower than most recreational boats and slower than almost every whale species it shared the ocean with. It could not chase anything fast. To keep its massive body running, it needed 2,500 pounds of meat every single day. That equals roughly 1 full adult humpback whale every 2 weeks. It could not catch dolphins, seals or fast fish. It was physically limited to hunting only slow, large whales. And even then, it was not a pursuit predator. It was an ambush specialist. It would hide in deep, dark water, staying motionless for hours, waiting for a large whale to swim above it. Then it would launch one single, explosive strike. But here's the catch. If it missed, it wasted so much energy in that one lunge that it would have to rest for hours before trying again. It simply did not have the stamina for a long chase. Worse still, its massive body made it rigid. It could not make sharp turns or change direction quickly. If its prey moved just a few feet sideways, it was gone. And this is exactly why it went extinct. Around 2.6 million years ago, Earth's climate cooled. The warm, shallow seas Megalodon relied on shrank. The slow, large whales it hunted migrated to colder waters it could not survive in. The smaller, faster whales stayed behind. And Megalodon was too slow, too big, and too specialized to switch its diet. It didn't die because something stronger beat it. It died because it was built so large it had no room to adapt when the world changed. Final verdict. Megalodon was the most powerful biter in history. But as a hunter, it was slow, clumsy, and only worked when every single condition was perfect. Remove those conditions and it collapsed. Next, Spinosaurus aegyptiacus, the star of Jurassic Park 3, the longest predatory dinosaur ever discovered, reaching 46 to 50 feet in length. Longer than T-Rex, longer than Giganotosaurus. For decades, popular media portrayed it as the ultimate land predator, huge, strong, and capable of taking down any other dinosaur it met. But every new fossil found since 2014 has completely rewritten our understanding. And the real truth? Spinosaurus was barely a land predator at all. Let's look at its actual anatomy. Its legs were short, slender, and weak. Far too weak to support its full weight while running. Biomechanical studies from the University of Portsmouth confirm it could not run at all. Its maximum speed was only 3 to 4 miles per hour, slower than a walking human. Its center of gravity was shifted so far forward toward its long neck and head that if it tried to stand upright for long, it would tip over face first. Its famous sail, that large bony ridge along its back, was not for display or to look scary. It was a heat regulation system and, more importantly, a stabilizer to help it swim. Its jaws were long, narrow, and filled with smooth, conical teeth. These were not built for crushing bone, gripping struggling prey, or inflicting deep wounds. They were built for holding on to slippery, soft-bodied things. Put all these clues together and the picture becomes clear. Spinosaurus was not a land hunter. It was a giant, semi-aquatic fish eater. It spent most of its time in rivers, swamps, and shallow coastal waters, using its paddle-like feet and tail to swim. It would lie in wait, then lunge to grab large fish or amphibians. But out of water, it was helpless. If it tried to fight a Carcharodontosaurus, a large crocodile, or even a medium-sized herbivore, it was at a massive disadvantage. Weak legs meant it could not dodge or move away. Its fragile jaw could not deliver a killing bite. A single strike to its tail or neck would have ended the fight instantly. Final verdict. Spinosaurus was the longest predatory dinosaur ever. But as a hunter of large prey or a fighter, it was terrible. It was a specialist, and outside its river home, it was completely vulnerable. Now we come to the dinosaur everyone thinks is T-Rex's true rival, Giganotosaurus. up to 45 feet long, weighed 8 to 9 tons, roughly the same weight as T-Rex, and sometimes a foot or two longer. For years, documentaries and books claimed it was bigger, faster, and deadlier. But when you compare their actual biology, the difference is shocking. First, the bite. T-Rex had a bite force of 12,000 to 13,000 pounds per square inch. Its teeth were thick, broad, and shaped like railroad spikes, designed to puncture, crush, and hold on to struggling prey. It could bite through bone and survive fights with other giant animals. Giganotosaurus, its bite force was only 3,000 to 4,000 pounds per square inch. That is less than a modern saltwater crocodile. Its skull was long, thin, and lightweight, built to save weight, not to withstand force. If it bit down too hard on bone, it risked cracking its own skull. Its teeth were narrow, blade-like, and relatively fragile, good for slicing flesh, but not for holding on to prey that fought back. Second, stamina and senses. Giganotosaurus had a smaller brain, less developed eyesight, and a weaker sense of smell than T-Rex. Its lung structure was less efficient, meaning it could only run in short bursts and would tire quickly. Fossil evidence suggests it may have hunted in loose groups, but even then, its strategy was limited. It could only attack from behind, deliver a quick slice, and retreat. It could not finish the job in one strike, and if it missed, it could not follow up fast enough. Final verdict. Giganotosaurus was longer and heavier, but as a hunter, it was far less efficient and far less deadly than T-Rex. Size gave it a height advantage, but not a killing advantage. Let's go back even further in time, to 60 million years ago. Meet Titanoboa cerehonensis, 42 to 45 feet long, weighing 2,500 pounds, as heavy as a small car. The largest snake to ever exist. In movies and illustrations, it is shown as a fast-moving monster that chases anything it sees. But the reality is much different. All snakes are cold-blooded. That means their body temperature and energy levels depend entirely on the heat in their environment. The bigger a cold-blooded animal gets, the harder it is to stay warm and active. Titanoboa could only survive in a world where average temperatures stayed between 90 and 95 degrees Fahrenheit year-round. Because of its size and biology, it could not move fast. It could not chase prey over any distance. It could not track animals across land. It was nothing more than a living trap. It would lie completely submerged in shallow, warm water, with only its nostrils above the surface. It would stay perfectly still for hours, even days, waiting for a turtle, fish, or small mammal to come close enough to strike. It had no speed, no endurance, and no ability to adapt to colder weather. When Earth's climate cooled just a few degrees, Titanoboa could no longer raise its body temperature enough to move or digest food. It went extinct not because it was out-hunted, but because it was simply too big to survive even a small change in its environment. Final verdict: Titanoboa was the largest snake in history, but as an active hunter, it was completely dependent on perfect conditions. Take those away, and it was helpless. Last on our list, Purussaurus. 33 to 36 feet long, weighed 8 to 10 tons, as heavy as T-Rex. the largest true crocodilian to ever walk the earth. Its bite force is estimated at 15,000 pounds per square inch, stronger than T-Rex, stronger than any living predator today. But once again, size was its greatest weakness. Purussaurus lived in the vast wetlands of South America around 8 million years ago. It fed on giant turtles, slow mammals, and large fish. Like all these giants, it needed massive amounts of food to survive. But then, the Andes Mountains began to rise. Rivers changed course, and the wetlands slowly dried up. The slow, easy prey moved away. Faster, smaller animals remained, and Purussaurus was too big, too slow, and too specialized to switch its hunting style. It could not chase, it could not travel far, and it could not survive on less food. Slowly but surely, it starved itself out of existence. Final verdict. Purussaurus had the strongest bite in history, but only worked when the prey came to it. It could not go looking for food, and it could not adapt when the environment changed. So what do all these incredible giants teach us? We have looked at 5 of the most famous predators in history, and every single one of them proves the same rule. Being big is not a superpower. It is a trade-off. Every extra pound of muscle costs energy to build and maintain. Every extra foot of length reduces speed and maneuverability. Every adaptation to grow larger makes you less flexible when the world changes. The most successful predators in history were rarely the largest. They were the ones with the right balance. Enough size to dominate, enough speed to catch prey, enough senses to find food, and not so big that they couldn't adapt when conditions shifted. Think about it. The predators that survived mass extinctions were never the giants. They were the medium-sized, efficient, flexible hunters. Megalodon, Spinosaurus, Giganotosaurus, Titanoboa, Purussaurus. They were not failures. They were perfectly built for the exact world they lived in. But when we call them the ultimate hunters, we are lying to ourselves. We are judging them by movie standards, not by the fossil record. The real lesson is simple. In evolution, the strongest survive, but the most adaptable thrive. Raw size doesn't matter. Biological design does. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the truth behind history's most overhyped giants, hit that like button. Share this video with anyone who loves dinosaurs or prehistoric life, and subscribe for more science-based content. Next time, we are going to look at the smaller, often ignored predators that outcompeted these giants and survived for millions of years longer. Thanks for watching, and remember, never judge a predator by its size alone.